Okay. Yo, welcome. There's more people here on time. I wonder why. All right, somebody have a piece of paper? We'll do it that way again. Start from the back. So somebody in the back row start a piece of paper with the attendance. Yeah, thanks all for coming on time. It's great. Great to see you. Um, yeah. Good. All right, so there's still the homework assignment from, what was it? Am I logged in? Come on, computer. Yeah. All right, so what was it? Convert units? Not graded yet because some things took longer. I'll just show you for fun. This is the kind of fun that we have. Let's see. This is the kind of fun we have. This is a grant proposal. So we're going to grant proposal to, the NSA is supposed to give us money to work on graph theory, right? Isn't that what's supposed to happen in life? That's what we did last night. All right. Okay, so that'll be for next time. In the meantime, I'll also show you something that I did related to the multiplication table. So where is this? So this was my multiplication table. Since you, and it's on the server there, so you can probably see it. This is my version of the multiplication table. It's PHP. You all know PHP now. So there's a form. There's going to be spots for these. This is so same kind of fields that you guys had, and then a button. So you're going to see form. Then there's so there's an input and another input, min left, max left, from, so for example, 1 to 5, 0 to 10, let's say. And then I gave an option about what's, so plus, minus, times, divide, those are things my kids have to do. So this is displaying them like this instead of right in a, what did you guys do? It was in a table, right? So this is not a table. This is set up so that I could print this, and so the questions are there, and then the answers are there. So then I could just give the kid, here's the questions, check the answers, right? Have fun, just go crazy. And then when I click to print, this is something that I don't think you guys have done. If you look at the print there, the stuff at the top of the form isn't there. So the way that's done is with CSS. There's going to be some at media print. So I just played around with it. There's a display none. So if it has the no print class, I search for no print. So I put that whole form inside of a div, and if it's getting printed, then that just won't display. All right, so you can play these types of tricks if you want to have it show up different when it's printed. The reason I did that is the form doesn't matter for printing it out. And I think I also made it something in here, page break before, page break inside. So that was to make it so that the questions would start on a page and then the answers would start on a page. And then I played around with the sizes and stuff like that so that it would display right. You can take a look at that if you. if you want. And randomize and display at most some number of questions. So right now it just displays all questions from 0 to 5 up to 0 to 10. That's nested for loops. So there's the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And what if you want to display at most, say, 5? So there's 5. And what if you want to display them in a random order? So there's a random set of questions, and that is all I did was I made a list of all the questions. So this for loop makes all the questions. I put that into an array. So here's an array. We haven't really done much with arrays, but there's a question here. So the question has top is some number, bottom is some other number, dash is this stuff. There's an operation in there somewhere. All right, so this is playing with formatting. And then there's an answer. Either the answer is displayed or it's empty. And this is also another one. If you're going to need to do formatted input, the sprintf is still there. It works similar to it does in C. All right, so there's all that business, and then eventually this question here, this is HTML that's ready to be put in to the document, but it's not put in yet, it's just in this variable. And here is the syntax for adding to the end of an array. So I initially have Q is an empty array. I add to the end, and if they selected the random setting, then this seeds the random generator with some random seed, and I took this from somebody else's code to get a random seed based on the current time. Okay, and then there's a function shuffle that just switches around an array. So this queue will have all possible questions in this range, and then if I randomize, then it just shuffles it. And if I have an option of how many to display, then I only display that many here. So this is printing, remember print actually goes to the output. So here is an arithmetic question, this is the formatting around it, and then this is the actual question. So that's a function. See function. What happens in PHP when it comes to a function definition? What happens in any code when it comes to a function definition? Ah, that's a function. Okay, I might need that later. Right, that's all it does. So I have a function definition here. Sometime later, it's going to get called. So here's where it gets called inside of this if. What does this if do? This if post operation? If there's a post variable called operation that's set, right? So that would be if they clicked the form. So if they clicked the form, then I make a random seed, I print the questions, and I print the answers. Otherwise, I don't. So there's my multiplication table. Isn't that exciting? Sure. Sure it is. Okay, you want... All right, we'll wait till the end to talk about the next homework assignment. Remind me to talk about the next homework assignment. Okay, so then the goal for today, let's take a pause. If you want to ask about anything here or anything else, now's your chance. Say something to somebody.
We are getting mails about priority registration.
registration starts in a week or two. That's it. And you guys get to register first because you're kids. But none of the classes should fill up. That shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, that's it. It's just registering for the spring. Yeah. Do you guys know what classes you're taking? No. All right, so we can say something about that. Yeah. Hmm? Yeah. There's a shuffle function. Yep. So if you just search for randomize GPU array. So rand starts a random character. So as rand starts a random, rand is a random integer. To do that, instead of doing that, I just generated all questions and shuffled them. That's okay as long as the total number of questions is not too big. But if I made the range there like 1 million, then I wouldn't want to generate all 1 million times 1 million questions. And I would want to just generate the random questions off the top. But for the kids, I need to make sure that they see every question. Right? They have to know all the facts.
This is a library function?
Shuffle. Yeah. So rand, and so there's rand and srand, let me see. And then shuffle just randomizes them.
If you wanted to like show hints and stuff, you would use JavaScript to like pop up and stuff like that.
You could, yeah. Okay, questions. So somebody wanted to talk about this schedule for the spring. That's a reasonable thing. So the CS 650 classes on the schedule are meant for the professional, now we have to call it concentration. If you're in 520, 558, you can take 620, 658. If you're not, then you'd have to pass a quiz of some sort. So if you look at the document that is on there's a document, revised CS master program down here, revised CS master program. We've changed things a little bit, but this is still close enough. Come on. Okay, so you basically have what the default for everybody is you do the programming class, this was your 559, you do your math class, this is the one with Hutchison, and then other stuff. Okay, so that's the default for the professional concentration. This is supposed to be called concentration now, whatever. And then the so-called academic concentration would be your tougher classes. So for the spring, those are 620, 658 if you're, let's see, the other tougher 600 level class for the spring is CS 670. So that is concurrent programming with XO. So that'll be if you're one of the top, 10 students or something in the programming class with XO, ask him what he thinks about you taking 670 if you're interested in that. 620 is theory, advanced theory, and 658 is advanced algorithms. If you're in those classes, then that makes sense. If you're in the 520, 558, then it makes sense to take one or both of those in the spring as kind of a continuation. If you're not, then you'd have to have a good reason that you would want to. Okay, and then the 650 classes, if you look at the schedule, so there's the spring schedule, 650. There is trends in computer science. I don't know what, has anybody talked to Rafi to see what he's doing in there? Anyone? He probably doesn't know yet. Okay, but he's supposed to make it so that it's doable by anyone. You don't have to be the smartest or something. That's what these 650s are supposed to be. And then Abhyankar has software specification and design. That would be his type of class. Where's the attendance? Did the attendance come around? Or you're all hiding it?
It's here.
Okay. So that'll be Abhyankar's type of class, which tends to be my best impression. We're recording here. So my best impression is that it's not a lot of programming assignments. It's more of knowing the general procedures for whatever he's talking about. So there will be a book, and he'll go off the book about software specification and design. All right, but it's supposed to be a class that'll work for anybody. All right, and then Hutchison has one of these again, survey of programming languages, and the thought there is to introduce a bunch of different programming languages that you want to be able to say that you're familiar with, right? You want to be able to say, yeah, I've done some Java, I've done some whatever. So that's the idea there, is that he can just go to shallow, do the same program in all these different languages. That's the idea. So those should be working, those should work for anybody. That would be your default if you don't want to be challenged too much. And hopefully work for anyone, and probably not as challenging. All right, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the 620, 658, 670. Those would be the most challenging courses. So easiest, or let's say most accommodating, would be the 650s. Most challenging, 620, 658, 670, and in between are all the 500s. Accommodating. So you can look at all the 500s. Those are also options for you.
Well, AI is one of the 500s, it's not very easy.
I'm saying in general. It's right. It depends on which professor you have and stuff. So if you look at the 500s, okay, formal methods, that'll be similar probably to Abhyankar's 650 class. I'm guessing that half of the material will be the same. You could take those two classes, if you wanted to see the same thing twice. Computer architecture, most of you have had a class like that, but you could take it again, that's fine. Software engineering, another Abhyankar class. Systems programming would be a good one. That's if you want to do more programming, but you don't want to be in the most challenging class, 556 would be good. So thoughts on those? 556, good programming class. Maybe not as challenging as 670. 551 is architecture. So that's good stuff to know. Not programming, it's just how the CPU works. If you haven't done before, it's good. Unix, Linux administration, that is running a Unix server. All that entails. Not a lot of programming, it's a lot of just knowing commands and configuration files. So that prepares you to do the job of Unix, Linux administration. Operating systems is I believe the way that Sternfeld will probably run it, it's not a heavy programming class. There will be some programming, but it's more of ideas, how you do multiple processes running at the same time, communicating. Computer networks, how does the internet work? That'll probably be a heavy programming class. Heavy programming, how does the internet work? 571, probably lighter programming, and maybe an easier version of 670. So 670 is concurrent programming. That's how do processes work together. That also comes into operating systems. So if you could you could view this as a choice, 571 or 670. Half the material might be the same. And that's the end of those. Did I say something about 569, Unix, Linux admin, light programming, lots of knowing commands and configuration stuff. So that would be good. Would be good if you use Unix, Linux as well. So you'll sometimes want to do something on your computer and you don't know how. You'll learn how everything works in that class. Okay, so that's the complete set of classes for the spring that you're able to take. There's also this schedule next year. Next year's schedule will look like this year's schedule, except the 650s will all be different topics, except concrete math. So there will be a new batch of 650s on different topics that are sort of more applied, like this is an applied class, right? Web programming. That's something you would do for a job. All right, so there will be a new batch of those. We have, there's, so likely topics, database, there's probably going to be a database one. There's probably going to be a networking one. There might be a computational biology one. There might be, what are the other ones? No, not graphics. We'll put ... So all the 500s will be the same. You can look at the 500s that are in the fall that you couldn't take this time because you're taking all these other classes. If you look at the fall schedule for right now, 5, oops. So it'll be the same set of classes, 520 and 558. If you didn't feel ready for those, but you want to do that next year because you want, the more challenging course, then anybody that is interested should be fine to take those classes next year if you want to. There's a 500 level database class that assumes that you know stuff, but you'll know stuff by then, so that's okay. Programming languages, that'll be kind of similar to the 650 class for the spring. You probably don't need to take both. Probably one or the other if you wanted to take a class like that. Instead of AI, let's see, some other notes. If you wanted to take 520, 558 in the fall, that would be reasonable. Graphics instead of AI, we alternate those. So there won't be AI in the fall, but there will be graphics. The rest of the classes will be the same. Web programming 2, you'll do some of the same stuff you did in here. If you want to take another web programming class, you could next year. And then the 621 is the advanced version of the math class. If you like that stuff, you could do that. So you'll have been here a year. Some of you will be done because you're taking 4 classes at once. You'll be ready to take some of those more challenging classes if you're interested in that. Also, you need take 685, 695 during your last semester, and you need to have at least 18 credits of 600 level. I think those are the parameters. So basically you want to look through, and either you're looking for the most challenging classes or you're not. So if you're looking for the most challenging classes, there's those. Besides that, you don't need to take all of the most challenging classes. You want to take some things that you're interested in. Maybe you know something about it and you want to learn more, or maybe you don't know anything about it. So it's kind of up to you. I'll also say register earlier just in case classes fill up. So in the spring, we'll probably have around 80 grad students and juniors and seniors. So how many of those? Junior, senior, undergrads, probably 30 to 40. Those are people that will be taking the same in the 500s. All of the 500s are limited to 40 students per class. The 650s are limited to 65 at the moment, but we'll move to larger rooms if needed. Okay, so keep all that in mind. Keep all that in mind and let me know sometime what classes you're planning on. So it would be good for you to list all the classes. So to list your complete set of 11 courses to finish the degree and when you'll take them. All right, that way if I see something like you're planning on taking a class when it's not going to be offered, I can let you know that. I believe I am your advisor, right? Is that correct? Okay, so you can let me know by email, after class, stop by, whatever. And when does it start? I think registration starts November 9. All right. So if you know what you're going to take by then, you can sign up the first day, and you won't have to worry about classes filling up before you can sign up for them. And it also helps us plan the earlier you sign up for classes. Okay, take a minute and see if you have any questions about that stuff. Ready to go. Say something.
In the spring, I have 620 is, no, I don't have 620. Great. But normally we do that for last year. So there's relational databases So are you in the office or yeah. Because I've taken some classes when I was an undergraduate. I'm not sure if they overlap.
It's right, you can't take it. But you can do independent study and then sign up. You don't need class action.
Not my grades.
No. I mean, so you sign up for topics class, and then you just do the course. If the professor agrees. So if it's like Okay, other questions about scheduling? $36. 37. Any other questions about signing up for classes schedule? Okay, good. So we're supposed to be doing this, right? All right, if you want to leave, you can leave and talk about whatever you're talking about. Good. So we want to do this, and so the strategy is going to be we're going to keep information about everybody in well, let's look at the code as it is right now first. Did I change something? I don't want to mess it up. So this is what we had. We had an array with all this information, and then we go through and we display it. Let's make this look better first. So how do I get rid of this bullet? Anybody remember?
External. External.
Okay, so I want to do.
This time, right? This time.
So let's see, there's this class equals people list, and then I want to go into my CSS files, wherever those are. So those were in, I guess I want to make a new, so I'm going to do cs.css. And then I'll link that from, if you remember, we had this header, which was this mess of stuff, which I'm not going to mess with. I'll just add in another link to a new link. Rel equals style sheet href equals media equals screen. Yeah, we'll just say no media. Type. So what's this type equal text/CSS? Is that what it is? We'll see. Okay. So then inside of here, I have li dot people list, and you're claiming, what is it?
List style is none.
List style, list type. Who votes for style? Who votes for type? I suppose I could just do it here, right? Okay, so we'll go up to this. What's the vote? List, style. You're voting list. No, list type is not a thing. Okay, all right. And then Armenian. Whoa, look at all that crap. Okay, none. Okay, so let's do list style type. All right, now I want to probably make this picture smaller, right? Image, there's no width on it. Is it better to put the width on the image tag or in CSS? I don't know personally. I'm not a web programmer. You guys are. We'll put it here, I guess, just to have it somewhere. Okay, that looks all right. Why don't we put this information next to the picture? And why don't we do it based on height to make sure? What is that, about 200 pixels or something? Maybe, is height not a thing? All right, we'll leave it the way it is for now. Whoops. All right, so if I want to put this stuff on the side, then the basic strategy would be a div. So let's see, there's a div. Then I have all this information. I want to put a div. So there is a div. I just need to set the properties the right way. So there's that div for the picture, and then there's this div for the info. So I have li.peoplelist, or I'll just do it as div dot. I'll do it like this: li.peoplelist div dot picture. And I got li.peoplelist div.info. I suppose I could do this over here as well. Make sure it works. So here's picture. Anybody know what we need to do?
Float left for picture.
Float left for the picture. All right. And then for the info. That's okay the way it is, I guess. But we can put that in float left. Okay, but then we want these other ones to, I don't know. Let's do it. So float, or why don't we do this? Dot floating. So this is a common thing we'll see. We'll just do it like picture floating, info floating, and then if we want to make sure that then it stops, we can put something like, I don't know. That's not it. So how do we make sure that the next one, anybody know?
Next one, what?
So that it goes down instead of next to each other.
Yeah. Can you set the width of the div?
What happens if we, that would be bad style. Okay, so if I want to make that, then
I think if we have info to be right, then we should pull it down. Picture to be left and info to be right.
So there's this. We will not worry about whether this is considered good style. Div class equals clear. Okay, so what that says, that's supposed to say, so this can be clear, can be both left and right. That's supposed to say whether it can float left or right of other things, or whether things can float left or right of it. All right, we want to put some padding in. That's fine. Now I want to put some padding there. Li dot, or why don't we do, there's various ways to do this. Padding left, 10 pixels. That looks okay. All right, so we could just have a bunch of these. Maybe we should put a, should we put some marker in between? Yeah, we won't worry about that. That's formatting, who cares? All right, so then we want to put everybody. Just as GXO, JeffXO, so name, email, phone, what other information do we have there? Title, assistant professor for now. Title, professor. You guys know how that works? So this is the way it works being professor. You either are a temporary person that gets a year contract, or you're a tenure track person, which means you work for 6 years and then you either get tenure, which is a lifetime contract, they can't fire you, or you get fired. So after 6 years, if they're more than 6 years, then they can't be fired, roughly speaking, except for like doing illegal things. Okay, so we got the title. What else do we need? Office. Root Hall A129. Root Hall A128, I think. Website. I don't know. I think he has. Does he have something there? Yeah. Who knows how? Is that his? No, that's not his current office. So that hasn't been updated in a while, but we'll leave it. Okay. All right, then down here we want to put some of that information in. So instead of this, we'll put, so we need to put the phone too. What is the website? Not person. And put the title in too. And we need to add in the phone. Oh, there's the phone. It's already there. And if we want to make that a link, how do we make that a link? That looks okay. All right, so if we're going to add another person, then we would just add to this array and change their information. Let's put Steve Baker in. Anybody know his Sycamore ID? I don't. I suppose it would be S Baker something.
Yeah.
So do you know when you get a number after your Sycamore ID? If there's somebody else that had the same last name as you.
Yeah.
and you get a number. He probably has some number. Let's just leave it like that. So Steve Baker, we'll list his ice@mama email address. That was his personal work server or something here. It's still running. His phone number, I don't know. Let's just put, well, I guess we can look it up. Because we'll need his office too. So 8776. His title is instructor. His office is something. 138D. Does he have a website? I don't know. No, not that.
There's one for giving the assignments and all stuff.
Center for Biological Computing. That's not him. What is it?
cs.insta.edu/sbaker.
Oh, personal webpage. That's what I was. So he has. Oh, right, it is on Mama. Does he have a link back to his? All right, we'll use this. All right, so then if we put that in, it should automatically go. So this array here, people, CS people, is an array where the first thing in there is this. And what type of data is that? It's stuff, right? It's stuff. So this is, so the first thing in there is, this is an array, right? So there's an array, and what does this mean here? So that says that, so there's three things in the CS people array. The first one is this array, the second one is this array, and the third one is this array. And you can access them by using this as the index. So that tells you the index. All right, inside of this array, there's an index called name, email, phone, title, office, websites. If we didn't put the index, if we didn't put this little thing, then what would be the index to the first thing in the array? 0, and then you'd have to know that it's 0, and that's maybe more likely to have mistakes in your code or something. Okay, so then when we go down here, we have, this was our for loop for each CS people. As SID equals person. So this is the index, and then this is the contents, the array. So the person there, this should, as we add things to the CS people, it should just work then. Problem, all right, I missed something somewhere. There should be a comma there. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so I could just go and copy and paste, and then anytime somebody needs their information to be updated, somebody has to go and change this code. That wouldn't be too bad. So what we'll do instead is we store the information, and you could store the information in a text file and then read it out of there. That would be fine. We know how to do that. If you go back and look in the lecture notes about reading text files, you could have the text file so that it just goes like in this kind of order, and you just know that's the kind of order it goes in, and then you update the text file. But instead of that, we're supposed to talk about databases. So let's go. Put this information in a database. And we have some time. So let's see. Forms, cookies. Oh, you wanted to finish that authentication stuff. That's still pending. So let's just see what's going to be needed, and then we can put it in. Relational databases, blah, 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 blah. I read that. Information, information, information. Okay, so then we're going to have something like this. Okay. Let's, sorry, what are they going to select, insert. Okay, we're going to have some code like this. This is a complete PHP code to get information out of a database. So this PDO stands for PHP database object. I don't know. This is a protocol. So what type of database? MySQL. We're going to use, what's it called? What is that thing called? You guys don't know what I'm thinking. No, it's not SimpleDB. It's the one where you keep the database in a text file. You guys haven't done it. All right, fine. CS. SQLite, that's it. How many people have heard of SQLite? So if we're doing this, let's see. If this was going to work, so this is the type of database, this is the database name. So inside the database you have some set of databases, and then this is where, what server is it on? So we're going to have something like, let me just put in comments. We'll have something like db equals PDO. So instead of MySQL, it'll be SQLite or something like that. DB name equals people list. Host equals localhost, something like that. Okay, and so then your database could have all kinds of information in it. If you look at the ISU, somewhere there's a SQL server running and it has the list of all the students, all the faculty, all the courses, all the whatever. There's all these different databases. Okay, so this is which one, and then we need, is this the username and password? So we'll have some username, password. That's it. Okay. Something like that. And we'll have something like okay, so we have a connection to the database, and then you issue a query. And what is a query? So if you go back and look at their examples here, all databases, as you just think of them as like spreadsheets in Excel. So you have a spreadsheet in Excel, maybe you have this one. This is a spreadsheet. And so then you have a column called ID, a column called name, a column called year. And in those you have the information. Then dealing with the database is always either you're inserting a row, you're adding a column, you're pulling out a group of rows, you're pulling out a group of rows but only a particular column or something like that. So you basically have three commands that you're always going to be doing. Select is pulling information out, so I'm going to pull, let's see, from the cities. Does this have the cities? No, this is not cities, that's something else. So here I could have my actors database, or my actors table, and so select from actors where first name is Sigourney, then I would get this row here. And if I just want her last name, then I would have something like select last name from actors where first name is Sigourney. Okay, so select is just pulling some rows and maybe only certain columns in the rows. And then it's just you need to remember what goes first. So select, this is the name of the column you want. From is a keyword. Cities is the table. So inside a database you have multiple tables, multiple spreadsheets. So is it sheet 1, sheet 2, or whatever? And then you can have extra conditions about only pull particular ones. So you could pull everything. So you could take select first name from actors. That would give you a list of all the first names. If you just want, I don't know, the female ones, and you could say where gender is female. All right, that's one thing that's not complicated. It's not complicated. It's just you have to know the rules. Look up the rules about this is the column, this is the name of the table, and this is a condition. All right, the other thing would be modifying the database. So one thing is inserting a new row. So this inserts into the countries table this. And the order here is the same order that the table was created with. That's prone to errors. There's a way to specify what order you're using. So there's give me results, put in a new row, and then there's going to be update a row. There's an update command. I don't know if they have it in this one here. So here, select star is every column, and there's a condition. Blah, 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 blah. All right, and so then our code's going to look something like select star from maybe our database is called website, and then our table is called people, and that would be it. So that would select all of our people if we had our database set up right. And then what type is results? What data type is results then? Something. Some data type, whatever this DB query returns. This is acting like it's an array. So here you have rows, and then for each thing. So then we could have our for each. We could have it just like we did down here. For each CS, or let's see, results as person, just like before. So then we just need to create the database and make sure that this matches. Or create a database, create a table. So for next time, we have SQL commands for select, insert, create table. All right, so let's leave it there for now. the way we have it right now, we could just copy and paste and make arrays, but the advantage of putting it into a database is, well, it'll be in some other file. We don't have to modify the PHP. And why put it into a database rather than modify this file? So why not just modify this file? If it's in a database, we can make a PHP form for making updates to the database. So we'll have a form for changing the database that'll be using update and insert. And then this page here will just be getting the results. It won't be changing at all. Yeah, Rahul?
So an array is a data structure that has homogeneous elements.
In C.
Is-
In C, an array is indexed by integers starting from 0 and has all the same data type in there. In PHP, the term array is not like the C array. So if you look at this array, the index is a string, right? The index could be an integer, or it could be something else too. And the type here, you could make different things here. So it would be okay, it would be valid for me to say something equals array, hello, 1, 2, hi. So that has two things in it. The first one has index hello and value 1. The second thing has index 2 and value hi. I think that'll run. Let's just make sure. No error. If I want to, just for fun, I could echo print something value 2. There should be a hi then somewhere. There's hi. So in PHP, the word array is not a C array.
So would it be incorrect to think that an array in PHP is kind of like a structure? So you could
No, it's just different. I mean, so it's a generalization of an array. You have some number of things. That's an array, right? But then you call this heterogeneous. The data is heterogeneous. You can have different types of data. Also, the index is heterogeneous. You can have different indices. In Python, they call this a dictionary because you can specify a key for lookup.
Can we have different number of values? I mean, there are
right.
5.
So here I have all the same, but they don't have to be. For my code to work, they have to be the same.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like they can have first array can have just 2 values and second one 3.
Right. So then I could skip them, and down below I could make my code deal with that. Another reason to put it in a table and a database would be here. Every time I do this, I have to make sure that I don't mess up these keys, these values. But if I put it in a table, then it'll be sort of easier to not make mistakes. All right. Did anybody think about what you want to do for your next assignment? No? Let's just, yeah.
would it be a problem if we use MySQL or something?
Well, so the issue with MySQL is that I have to have accounts for all of you. The only thing that'll be different, depending on what database you're using, is the connection line. Everything else will look exactly the same. So what SQLite does is it keeps the database in a file that's just sitting there. MySQL keeps it in a file as well, but it's a file that MySQL keeps somewhere, wherever MySQL keeps it.
But technically, we can turn our individual computers into servers, right?
Yeah, you can install MySQL on your computer, and then you can, if you're doing this and your computer had a IP address that was visible, that didn't change, then you would have host equals your IP address, and you need to make sure that your MySQL server isn't blocked by your firewall. your router, internet router.
Your laptop should be always on. And your laptop should be always on.
Yeah, your computer should all. But so if you had a desk computer at home, it has an IP address.
Yeah.
And if you have Apache installed on your computer, you can tell Apache some directory where you keep your web pages, and then you can have PHP files there. And then if you have MySQL running on your computer, then you could use localhost in your PHP because it's the same computer.
That's what happens if you use XM or something like that.
Right. Yep. If you install LAMP or XAMPP or whatever, these ones with Apache, and so they'll install MySQL as well. Yep. But on the CS server, accounts need to be created for MySQL for everybody that's using it, and I don't feel like doing that. So, huh?
You would help with that.
No, not help. It's a security thing or something, giving people. It's just more to keep track of. So let's see, SQLite, PHP SQLite 3. Is it installed? All right, something. We'll start from there next time. You want to have, so I won't put anything into an assignment yet because I still need to grade the other ones. But, okay, so finish off the PHP SQLite SQL example and people list, people.php, and then JavaScript maybe. And for the JavaScript, what I'm thinking is your next assignment is something useful for beginning CS students or children or something. It will be interactive. So options, trivia. So that would be, PHP maybe, and database. Demonstrate an algorithm, so it could be addition, multiplication, base conversion, sorting algorithm, and that's probably going to be JavaScript, but you could do it with PHP if you wanted to. Something else that is useful and interactive. So a good default thing to do would be either, so if people do either something for kids or something for beginning CS students, then we could have a nice collection of little, little programs. Like my, this thing. This is useful for my kids. It could be potentially useful for other kids too. So we could have a list of all these are things that people did in class. You made something like this. Or the beginning CS students, you could have something that demonstrates converting bases, so then if they can go through and click it and see how it works. You probably, maybe you want to do slightly something more exciting than just base conversion or sorting, so hash table, binary tree. The more complicated data structure you get, the more complicated the code would become. You start with something simple. All right, and we could have a nice collection of these to let people use. So if you have a young niece or nephew or child, then you might have something in mind, that they need help with. Any thoughts? think about it. If you have an idea, it will probably be okay. And you can share the idea with the class. If not, I'll give you a list to choose from. Maybe everyone picks something at least slightly different. So we have a lot of different little tools. So that'll be the plan for when I get your other program graded. And let's say that's the end. If you want to ask about classes, we have a little bit of time now. If you want to say something, otherwise send an email or stop by sometime or ask next time. The end.